After a vicious argument with her husband, the wife dragged her suitcase out of the house and slammed the door behind her. Before leaving, she secretly planted a tiny hidden camera in their home. She just wanted to know what her husband and mother-in-law really said about her when she wasn't around. What she never expected was that the moment she stepped out, her so-called best friend rushed straight into the house. Then came the shock. She heard her best friend look at the mother-in-law and call her mom. In that instant, her entire world collapsed. That was when she finally realized the truth. Her husband and her best friend had been having an affair behind her back for a long time, but what she overheard next completely destroyed her. It turned out her husband and mother-in-law had secretly switched her IVF embryos long ago. The child growing inside her was never hers. It belonged to her husband and that woman. Even worse, her severe illness had never been an accident. The man she slept beside every night had been slipping carcinogenic drugs into her medicine on purpose. Day after day, the plan was already set. Once she gave birth, the two of them would get married immediately, and by then, she would be terminally ill and quietly die. That way, they could be together openly, without consequences. Listening to all of this, the woman trembled with rage. She felt she had reached her breaking point and wanted nothing more than to fight them to the death. But suddenly, the friend beside her panicked. The woman was bleeding heavily due to emotional shock. Meanwhile, inside the house, the mother-in-law tightly held the scheming woman's hand and swore that on the day of the engagement, once the baby was born, she would gather the entire clan at the ancestral hall. She promised to publicly announce the new daughter-in-law's identity and officially add her to the family lineage. Just as the three of them were basking in their future victory, the husband received a call from the hospital. Something had gone wrong with the baby. The mother-in-law's eyes widened in terror, and all three rushed to the hospital immediately. When the doctor came out of the operating room, the husband hurried forward to ask about the baby, but the doctor said the situation was critical. The patient already had cancer and was extremely weak. Now, only one could be saved, either the mother or the child. Without hesitation, the vicious mother-in-law declared, they must save the baby. The family fortune depended entirely on this child. The husband immediately agreed. After the doctor went back inside, the mother-in-law slapped her son hard across the face. If anything happens to this child, how will you face your father and our ancestors? The husband swore the baby would be fine. You'd better pray nothing happens, she warned. Otherwise, this marriage is off. At the same time, the woman secretly stuffed padding under her clothes. They couldn't know yet that the baby was already gone. For revenge, she made a decision. She instructed a courier to deliver a package to the KO family ancestral hall. 2 months later, that day would be both their engagement celebration and their ancestral ceremony. Soon after, the doctor helped the woman out of the operating room. When the husband heard the baby was safe, he was overjoyed. He was terminally ill himself, and had pinned all his hopes on this child to compete for the family inheritance. 2 months later, on the due date, the doctor announced that the woman had given birth to a healthy baby boy, but the mother had died from excessive bleeding. Upon hearing this, the mother-in-law burst into fake tears. Inside she was overjoyed and wished the woman had disappeared sooner. The husband put on an Oscar-worthy performance, collapsing to his knees and wailing in grief. Then the mother-in-law cut straight to the point and demanded to know where the baby was, claiming she needed to take him home to acknowledge the ancestors. The doctor, who was actually the woman's friend, lied to help her get revenge. He said the baby was weak and needed to stay in a sterile ward for observation. He told them to return to the ancestral hall first, and that the baby would be sent over later. Once they left, the woman quietly walked out of the operating room herself. The day had finally come. Back at the ancestral hall, the mother and son threw a grand banquet and invited all relatives and friends. Because she had never produced a grandson before, the eldest grandson had never been named head of the family. Today, she was finally going to hold her head high. Seeing the sender's name was his wife, the man grew curious and tried to open it, but his mother rushed forward to stop him. She insisted that opening a deceased person's package on such a joyful day was extremely unlucky. Reluctantly, he set the package aside and called the doctor to ask when the baby would arrive. At that moment, the doors of the ancestral hall were suddenly pushed open. The wife, who everyone believed was dead, walked in holding a baby. The entire hall was stunned. "You're not dead. Why, are you surprised or disappointed?" The man quickly changed his tone, pretending to be relieved, and asked to see their son. The relatives grew curious whether the baby was a boy or a girl, but the woman held him tightly wrapped and refused to let anyone see. The ancestral ceremony began. As the family registry was brought forward, a gust of wind blew it to the ground. Then a little boy walked up to the man and said, "Come play with me, brother." "What brother?" the man asked, confused. Before anyone could react, the woman suddenly threw the bundle in her arms onto the ground. The cloth scattered. There was no baby inside. In the next second, she ripped open her coat, revealing pure white mourning clothes underneath, and raised a memorial tablet in her hands. The mother-in-law nearly fainted from rage, screaming that the woman was cursing her precious grandson. She pointed at her and demanded to know where her grandson was. The woman calmly turned and pointed at the unopened package nearby.